Have you ever sat down to do something important, looked at the task in front of you, and thought, I will start in 5 minutes. 5 minutes turn into 30 minutes. 30 minutes turn into 2 hours. And suddenly, the entire day is gone. But here is the strange part. You knew the task mattered. You knew the deadline was coming. You knew that delaying it would make your life harder. And yet, you still postponed it. Maybe you opened social media. Maybe you watched a few videos. Maybe you cleaned your room, answered emails, or reorganized things that suddenly felt urgent. Anything except the one thing you actually needed to do. If this has ever happened to you, you are not alone. In fact, according to research published by psychologist Dr. Joseph Ferrari of DePaul University, around 20% of adults identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. Even more interesting is the fact that procrastination does not only affect students, it affects entrepreneurs, writers, scientists, professionals, and highly successful people. This raises an important question. Why do people procrastinate even when they clearly understand the consequences? Why would the human brain knowingly delay actions that are necessary for success? And why does procrastination often feel like an invisible force pulling us away from our goals? The answer is fascinating, because procrastination is not really about laziness. It is not simply about poor time management. According to modern psychology research, procrastination is primarily about emotion regulation. And once you understand that idea, procrastination begins to make a lot more sense. Procrastination is not laziness. Many people believe procrastination happens because someone is lazy, but psychologists strongly disagree with that explanation. Dr. Tim Pychyl, a professor of psychology at Carleton University, who has studied procrastination for more than 20 years, explains that procrastination is the voluntary delay of an intended action, despite expecting negative consequences. In other words, procrastination happens when a person knowingly delays something, even though they understand that delaying it will create problems later. That definition is important because it reveals something critical. Procrastination is not about a lack of knowledge. Procrastinators usually know exactly what they should do. They understand the importance of the task. They are aware of the deadline, but they delay it anyway. This suggests that procrastination is not primarily a thinking problem. It is an emotional problem. Psychologist Dr. Fuschia Sirois, who researches procrastination and health behavior at the University of Sheffield, explains that procrastination often occurs when people try to avoid negative emotions associated with a task. These emotions might include anxiety, boredom, frustration, self-doubt, or fear of failure. When the brain encounters those emotions, it naturally tries to escape them. And one of the easiest ways to escape those feelings is to delay the task. The brain's battle between emotion and logic. To understand procrastination more deeply, it helps to understand how different parts of the brain work. Human behavior is influenced by multiple brain systems. Two of the most important systems involved in procrastination are the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. The limbic system is one of the older parts of the brain in evolutionary terms. It is heavily involved in emotions, pleasure, reward, and avoiding pain. The prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, is responsible for planning, long-term decision-making, and self-control. When you make a rational decision to work on something important, your prefrontal cortex is involved. But when a task triggers discomfort, your limbic system reacts quickly. The limbic system is designed to protect you from unpleasant experiences. If something feels stressful, difficult, or emotionally uncomfortable, this system pushes you toward activities that provide immediate relief. This is why procrastination often feels automatic. Your emotional brain is trying to reduce discomfort in the present moment. Meanwhile, your rational brain is thinking about long-term consequences. In many situations, the emotional brain wins the argument. The role of instant gratification. Another important psychological concept behind procrastination is temporal discounting. This concept has been widely studied in behavioral economics and psychology, including by Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman. Temporal discounting refers to the tendency of people to value immediate rewards more strongly than future reward. For example, imagine you have two choices. You could spend the next 2 hours working on a difficult project that will benefit your career in the future, or you could watch entertaining videos on your phone right now. The long-term reward of finishing the project may be greater, but the short-term pleasure of entertainment feels more immediate and emotionally satisfying. Because the brain strongly prefers immediate rewards, the easier and more pleasurable option often wins. This bias toward immediate gratification makes procrastination extremely tempting. Procrastination as mood repair. Dr. Tim Pychyl often describes procrastination as a short-term mood repair strategy. This means procrastination temporarily improves how you feel. Imagine that you begin working on an important assignment. After a few minutes, the task starts to feel frustrating or overwhelming. Your brain notices the discomfort. At that moment, you check your phone. You watch something funny. You scroll through social media. Suddenly, your mood improves. You feel a brief sense of relief. The brain remembers that relief. Over time, this pattern becomes a habit. Whenever a task creates negative emotions, the brain automatically looks for distractions that improve mood. Unfortunately, this short-term relief creates long-term stress. Because the task does not disappear, the deadline remains, and the pressure continues to grow. The link between procrastination and fear. Fear plays a surprisingly large role in procrastination. One common form of fear is fear of failure. When people worry that their performance might not be good enough, they sometimes delay starting the task. This delay protects their self-esteem. If the work is unfinished, failure cannot yet be judged. Psychologists sometimes call this self-handicapping behavior. By procrastinating, people create an external excuse for potential failure. Another powerful fear is fear of evaluation. Many tasks involve the possibility of being judged by others. Students may worry about grades. Professionals may worry about criticism. Entrepreneurs may worry about rejection. Delaying the task delays that moment of judgment. The connection between perfectionism and procrastination. It may sound surprising, but many procrastinators are actually perfectionists. Perfectionists often set extremely high standards for themselves. They want their work to be flawless. But when the expectations become too high, the task begins to feel intimidating. The fear of producing imperfect work can become so strong that people avoid starting altogether. Research by Dr. Piers Steele, a psychologist known for his work on motivation and procrastination, suggests that perfectionism can increase procrastination because it increases anxiety around performance. Instead of motivating action, perfectionism can create paralysis. Modern technology and the dopamine problem. Procrastination has always existed, but modern technology has intensified the problem. Social media platforms, online videos, and smartphone notifications are designed to capture attention. Many of these platforms use psychological principles related to dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. Each notification, message, or new piece of content can trigger a small dopamine response. These rapid bursts of stimulation train the brain to seek quick reward. Compared to these fast sources of pleasure, slow and difficult tasks feel less appealing. This is why many people struggle to focus on work while their phone is nearby. The brain constantly anticipates the possibility of a quick dopamine reward. The disconnect between present self and future self. Another fascinating insight about procrastination comes from research by Dr. Hal Hershfield, a psychologist at UCLA. His studies suggest that people often perceive their future selves almost like different individuals. When you say, "I will do it tomorrow," you are essentially assigning the responsibility to your future self. But because that future version of you feels psychologically distant, the consequences do not feel immediate. This makes it easier to delay action. Hershfield found that when people feel a stronger emotional connection to their future self, they are more likely to make responsible, long-term decisions. The cost of chronic procrastination. Procrastination may feel harmless in the moment, but long-term procrastination can have serious consequences. Research has linked chronic procrastination with increased stress, lower productivity, and even negative health outcomes. Dr. Fuschia Sirois has found that procrastination can contribute to higher levels of stress and poorer health behavior. People who procrastinate may delay important medical appointments, avoid exercise, or postpone other beneficial actions. Over time, these delays can affect both mental and physical well-being. Understanding the real cause. So why do people procrastinate even when they know better? Because procrastination is not simply about poor discipline. It is a complex psychological behavior influenced by emotions, fear, reward systems, and the brain's preference for immediate comfort. Your brain tries to protect you from discomfort in the present moment. It seeks relief from anxiety, boredom, or self-doubt, and procrastination offers that relief temporarily. But the cost of that temporary relief often appears later, in the form of stress, pressure, and missed opportunities. The first step toward overcoming procrastination is not self-criticism, it is awareness. When you notice yourself delaying an important task, pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question. What emotion am I trying to avoid right now? Understanding that emotion can help you break the cycle, because when you learn to face discomfort instead of escaping it, procrastination slowly loses its power. And that is when real progress begins. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to Minecraft Lab, where we explore the science behind human behavior, psychology, and the hidden forces that shape the way we think and act. Because the better you understand your mind, the more control you gain over your life.